You know that feeling when everyone's talking about the same thing, but nobody's asking the real question. That's exactly where we are right now with our Lakers. Welcome back to Lakers News Fan Report, the place where you get the most updated news, the deepest analysis, and yes, the controversial takes about our beloved purple and gold. I'm here to break down everything that's happening, and trust me, you're going to want to stick around for this one because what I'm about to share changes everything we thought we knew about this season's direction. Let me paint you a picture. This season started with promise. We saw a superstar come in with renewed energy, looking slimmer, talking about commitment, speaking all the right words about playing a complete game. The media ate it up. The fans were excited, and honestly, I was too. But here's the thing that nobody wants to address head-on, and it's becoming impossible to ignore. When you watch the games, really watch them, you start noticing patterns that don't lie. The defensive rotations, the effort level on that end of the floor, the body language when it's time to get back and lock in. I've been covering this team for years, and I can tell you right now, something fundamental isn't clicking the way it needs to. Now, before you think I'm here just to criticize, hear me out completely, because this story has layers that go way deeper than what you're seeing on the surface. The national media has been going absolutely wild lately. Max Kellerman dropped a take that had people's jaws on the floor. He actually said he'd rather build around Austin Reeves than continue with our current situation to avoid redundancy. Michelle Beadle took it even further, calling out the lack of two-way play and saying that you cannot be considered among the best if you're only doing half the job. She went on record saying rings will never come from one-dimensional excellence, no matter how spectacular that one dimension is. And here's where it gets interesting for us as Lakers fans. These aren't random hot takes from people trying to get clicks. These are observations rooted in something we're all seeing. The defensive metrics don't lie. When you look at the numbers, the effort on that end has directly contributed to our struggles containing opponents. Teams are attacking us in ways they shouldn't be able to against a roster with this much talent. We're giving up too many easy buckets, too many second-chance opportunities, and it's creating a ripple effect across our entire defensive scheme. The opponents are shooting higher percentages against us than they should. We're allowing penetration that leads to kickouts for open threes. Our transition defense has been inconsistent at best, catastrophic at worst. These aren't just minor issues that can be fixed with a simple adjustment or a motivational speech. These are structural problems that require real solutions. Think about the past finals MVPs, every single one of them, with maybe the exception of someone like Nikola Jokic, who has that unique center size advantage, contributed on both ends of the floor. That's not a coincidence. Championship teams follow their leaders' energy and commitment. If the franchise cornerstone only brings it on offense, how can you expect role players to sacrifice their bodies on defense night after night? I've seen this pattern before in my years watching basketball. When your best player sets the tone defensively, everyone else follows. When they don't, you get a disconnected team where guys are pointing fingers instead of helping each other. The psychological aspect of this cannot be overstated. Defense is about trust, communication, and collective commitment. One weak link breaks the entire chain, especially when that weak link is supposed to be your foundation. But I want to be clear about something, and this is crucial. Having concerns doesn't mean giving up on potential. It means being honest about where we are so we can talk about where we're going. And this is where the conversation gets really interesting for Lakers Nation. I've been digging into what's happening behind the scenes, talking to people who know this organization, and there are movements happening that suggest our management sees exactly what we see. They're not sitting idle. They're not hoping things magically improve. They're actively exploring solutions that could fundamentally change our trajectory. Rob Pelinka has always been someone who makes calculated moves. And right now, he's calculating how to turn this season around while building for tomorrow. Stay with me here, because this next part is what you came for. The Golden State Warriors have been in discussions about various scenarios. Jonathan Kuminga, the athletic forward who demanded a trade the moment he was eligible, has fallen completely out of Steve Kerr's rotation despite signing an extension this offseason. At just 22 years old, averaging 17.5 points back in October before injuries disrupted his rhythm, Kuminga represents exactly the type of versatile, athletic defender we desperately need. His wingspan, his lateral quickness, his ability to guard multiple positions, these are things you can't teach. You either have them or you don't, and Kuminga has them in abundance. And here's the development that should have every Lakers fan paying attention. According to multiple reports coming out in the last 48 hours, our organization is preparing a serious package built around Gabe Vincent and Jared Vanderbilt to make this happen. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Is that enough? Can we really land a player of Kuminga's potential and upside with those assets? Here's why I think this makes perfect sense for both sides. Golden State is trying to maximize their championship window with Steph Curry. They need proven, reliable pieces who can contribute immediately in a playoff rotation. Vincent brings championship experience from his time in Miami and floor spacing that fits perfectly with their system. Vanderbilt, when healthy, is one of the most versatile defenders in the league, who can guard multiple positions and bring the kind of energy and hustle that championship teams need. For a Warriors team that needs depth and reliability, that package actually addresses real needs. They get two players who can help them right now while clearing a logjam at the forward position. But for us, for the Lakers, landing Kuminga would be transformational. Think about what he brings to the table. Elite athleticism that translates immediately to perimeter defense. Switchability across multiple positions that allows us to play modern defensive schemes. The ability to attack closeouts and finish above the rim, adding another dimension to our transition offense, developing playmaking skills that complement rather than overlap with our current offensive structure. He's not just a rental or a short-term fix, he's a legitimate building block who's still years away from his prime. When you're getting a player at 22 who's already shown flashes of being a two-way force, you're investing in the future while improving the present. That's the sweet spot every team is looking for, and we have a real chance to land exactly that. This is where the bigger picture starts coming into focus, and I need you to really understand what's at stake here. The narrative around our current struggles has been about defensive effort and two-way commitment. Bringing in someone like Kuminga sends a message. It tells everyone in that locker room that we're serious about building a complete team, not just collecting offensive talent. It addresses our bench scoring issues, which have been abysmal this season. Look at our second unit numbers. They're not just bad, they're historically bad for a Lakers team with championship aspirations. We need someone who can come in and give us quality minutes. Someone who can create his own shot when the offense gets stagnant. Someone who brings energy and athleticism when our starters need rest. Kuminga solves all of those problems immediately, while also giving us the kind of defensive versatility that allows our coaching staff to be creative with lineups and schemes. But more than anything, it's a statement about the future. Look, I'm going to be straight with you. LeBron James isn't getting younger. The reality is, we might be looking at a very different roster composition next season. That's not being negative, that's being realistic about where we are in this championship window. If LeBron decides to move on or retire, we need foundational pieces already in place. We need young talent that believes in what we're building. We need players who are hungry to prove themselves on the biggest stage in basketball. We need guys who understand what it means to wear purple and gold, who respect the legacy of Magic, Kareem, Kobe, Shaq, and everyone who came before. Kuminga checks every single one of those boxes. He's young, motivated, talented, and ready to prove Golden State made a mistake letting him go. That's exactly the kind of player you want on your roster. And here's something that doesn't get talked about enough. The versatility of elite offensive talent means you don't need 5 all-stars around them. You need the right profiles. You need defenders who can handle multiple assignments. You need spot-up shooters who know their role. You need energy guys who set the tone with effort and hustle. You need veterans who've been there before and can steady the ship in crucial moments. This isn't about having the best collection of names on paper. It's about having pieces that fit together like a puzzle, where each player's strengths amplify the others and their weaknesses are covered by the collective. The 2004 Pistons proved you don't need multiple superstars if you have the right system and the right complementary pieces. The Hawks understood this when they moved on from Trae Young. They recognized that building around a one-way player, no matter how brilliant offensively, creates a ceiling you just can't break through in the playoffs. Now, I'm not saying we're in that exact situation, but the lesson applies. You have to be willing to make tough decisions and strategic additions that address fundamental issues, even if it means acknowledging uncomfortable truths about your current construction. What excites me most about the potential Kuminga acquisition is what it represents for our defensive identity. Right now, we don't really have one. We're not a switchable team, we're not a drop coverage team. We're not a pressing, trapping team. We're kind of in between everything, and that indecision gets exploited every single night. Teams know they can attack us in certain ways and we won't have answers. They know our weak spots and they target them relentlessly. Adding an elite athlete who can guard 1s through 4s changes everything. Suddenly, you can switch actions without worrying about mismatches. You can pressure the ball without fear of getting blown by. You can help off your man, knowing you have the recovery speed to get back. You can implement schemes that were previously impossible because you didn't have the personnel. These might sound like small details, but in the playoffs, these small details are the difference between advancing and going home. Early, I've watched this team for too long to not recognize when real change is possible. And I'm telling you, we're at one of those crossroads moments where the decisions made in the next few weeks will define the next few years. The media can say whatever they want about effort and commitment. Fans can debate endlessly about who should be here and who shouldn't. But at the end of the day, basketball is about putting the right pieces together and creating something greater than the sum of its parts. It's about building a culture where everyone knows their role and buys into the collective mission. It's about having a vision and executing it with precision and purpose. If we can land Jonathan Kuminga, we're not just getting a good player, we're getting a statement piece that says this organization knows how to build for both now and the future. We're getting someone who addresses our biggest weakness while adding another dimension to our offense. We're getting a player who's motivated to prove Golden State wrong, which is always a dangerous combination in the NBA. And most importantly, we're getting a pathway to competing at the highest level while developing the next generation of Lakers excellence. Think about what that means for our franchise long term. We're not just patching holes for one season. We're building something sustainable, something that can compete year after year, something that honors the tradition of Lakers basketball. The criticism about one-way play is valid. The concerns about defensive effort are real. The questions about building a championship team around incomplete basketball are worth asking. But here's what separates great organizations from average ones. Great organizations don't just identify problems, they solve them. They make the tough calls. They bring in the right reinforcements. They create environments where players can maximize their strengths while the system compensates for weaknesses. That's what championship cultures do, and that's exactly what we have the opportunity to do right now with this potential move. Los Angeles has always been about excellence, about refusing to settle for mediocrity, about demanding greatness from everyone who wears this jersey. That standard doesn't change just because we're going through a rough patch. I want to see Kuminga in purple and gold, bringing that energy every single night. I want to see our defense transform from a liability into a legitimate strength. I want to see young talent developing alongside established stars, creating continuity and chemistry that lasts beyond this season. I want to see Lakers basketball played the right way, on both ends of the floor, with the kind of intensity and commitment that made this franchise the most successful in NBA history. We're not there yet. I won't pretend we are. But we're closer than people think, and moves like this bring us one step closer to where we need to be. The foundation is there, the market is there, the legacy is there, the fan support is unwavering. Now it's about making the smart, strategic decisions that turn potential into reality. And from everything I'm hearing, everything I'm seeing, everything I'm analyzing, we're on the verge of doing exactly that. This isn't about panic moves or desperate attempts to salvage a season. This is calculated, intelligent team building that positions us for sustained success. This is about understanding where basketball is going and making sure we have the personnel to compete in that future. The game is getting faster, more athletic, more versatile. We need players who can keep up with that evolution, and Kuminga is exactly that type of modern player. So here's where I need to hear from you, Lakers Nation. Do you think bringing in Jonathan Kuminga is the move that changes everything for us? Do you believe we can build a championship defense around him and our current core? Are you comfortable with moving Vincent and Vanderbilt to make this happen? Or do you think we should hold on to those assets for something bigger down the line? What adjustments would you make if you were running this team? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because I genuinely want to know where you stand on this. This is our team, our franchise, our legacy, and your voice matters in this conversation. The beauty of Lakers Nation is that we're all in this together, riding the highs and lows, celebrating the victories and learning from the defeats. If you're serious about staying ahead of every development, every trade discussion, every strategic move our Lakers make, you need to subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that notification bell because I'm bringing you analysis and breaking news the moment it happens. We don't wait for other outlets to report it. We break it down as it's happening. This is Lakers News Fan Report, where we don't just report the news, we break down what it actually means for our championship aspirations. Let's build this championship together, one smart move at a time. I'll see you in the next one with more exclusive updates on everything purple and gold.